So, true story, I have had all winter to work on this car and get it prepped for this year's summer and autocross season. And I'm starting right now, a month away from the first event. I don't know how this keeps happening, but it does. So, we're going to go through a bunch of stuff and get this thing prepped for the season. Most of it's just going to be maintenance. But we're going to throw a few excuse me. We're going to throw some upgrades at it too this year. So let's get after it. As with any automotive project, it helps to start with a list. So this is our list. Some of it is needs and most of it, unfortunately, is wants. So power steering pump. Last year, it was really starting to burble out the top. Tried throwing a new cap on it. That didn't solve it. I believe it is simply caused by overheating the power steering. It's definitely not a level problem, and maybe it's a slosh problem, but you'd think that the new cap and its new seal would solve that. It doesn't. So I think we're overpressurizing the system when it overheats. That is a want. Transmission shift seal, the seal that goes around the arm, shaft, whatever you want to call it, that comes out the side of the transmission so you can do your shifting selection. It leaks quite a bit. So that is a need. So I ordered parts for that. Can check off I got parts for that. Upper radiator hose, starting to dribble a bit, not significantly, but it's only going to get worse with temperature. So that is a need. And I ordered parts for that. Lower radiator hose. May as well do it while you're doing the upper. Ordered that. Coolant flush. We did one last year. It's not a need, but it's not that hard. And I got fluid for it. So we have parts for that. Oil change. Got a filter and oil for that. That is a need. I do it every year. Just so that we are racing on fresh oil. Grease joints, it's a general maintenance item. Easy to do. Why not do it? We're doing it. Rear axle oil flush. It probably should be done. If we have time, we'll do it. I believe I have oil for that. Sorry, I had a quick distraction because I noticed someone nerfed something against my car. Looks like it'll rub right out though. Okay. Fit 2024 rear tires to front wheels. If we have time, we'll do that, but we have the full, when we get down to upgrades, we'll cover what we're going to do for wheels and tires this year instead of the factory ones. If we have time, we will make a nice road set out of my used tires here. Seat repair. The side bolster is worn out, and it causes the plastic support, whatever you want to call it, for this power seat, power bolster, to jab me in the side. I got a nice mark right on my side. I don't know if you can see it. I have a nice mark right on my side from where it was digging into me last year. If I have time, I'll fix that. I can suffer through some pain if I have to. All right, now to the upgrades. We're going to 17-inch factory reproductions, and they are fitted with Michelin Pilot Sport PS2 tires. That'll be a nice jump in grip for this car because Street Class allows you to replace one sway bar with something stiffer as long as it uses the factory mounting points. We are going to a QA1 front sway bar, and I'll go over why we're doing that when we get to that point. And that's that. It's not much, but hopefully between the tire and the front sway, that'll give us a nice little boost in handling. Not that it necessarily needs it, but we're going to do it because we're kind of reaching the factory, or we're reaching the outer bounds of the factory capabilities as it sits right now. So we're going to do some small upgrades. And we have parts. We have the wheels and tires, and we have the front sway. So let's get after some of the fluid stuff to start off. All right, starting off really simple, just going to do an oil change. It's a good thing to do for general maintenance, and because we're putting this car through its paces. I mean, last year, I think, save for maybe 1 or 2 days, the only time I took this car out was when I was driving it to an autocross event and racing it. So, basic 1030, it's a high mileage synthetic, seems to work pretty good. Fresh filter, just an AC Delco. Wix is really great too. And we're gonna treat it with a little bit of Hot Shots. Not sponsored, but they make great stuff. Really great stuff. Powered by science. Hard to argue with that. All right, let's get after it. To start, I'm going to just run the car for a little bit just to warm the oil up. If there's anything that's sat, any deposits, it'll loosen it up and it'll make it easier for it to come out the drain plug. So I'm gonna crack the garage door and fire this turkey up. Oh, yeah, I'll quick put the registration tab on before I do that. Okie dokie. Hopefully garage door opener works. Hooray! Up there. Up there. Don't go any higher. All right. Let the pump prime in case it drained back. And cranking. Idling smooth as silk. Oh look, my sway bar's underneath it too. Whoops. Oh well. Alright. It doesn't need to run long, just enough to get a little bit of heat in it. I'm gonna cold rev it. We can give it a little blip. Oh yeah. Alright, that's probably enough. Well, there's the evidence of the transmission leak. It's leaking from right there and back here by the Speedo, though the Speedo one is a lot more gradual. As you can see, that's from the shift seal, and that is from the Speedo. Quite a bit less, though still not ideal. I haven't quite figured out. I put a new seal in the Speedo housing. I put a new Speedo sensor in the Speedo housing. Still leaks. So I fear it may have a hairline crack. But for now, we're just going to ignore that because it doesn't leak enough to be super profuse or hurt anything yet. But hopefully I'll get to that eventually. Now watch, I'm gonna blast. Oh, my backpack just fell. That's good. Ignore that. Don't look at that. I believe this is a 13. Nope. Let me guess. I was wrong. I grabbed the 13 and the 15. It's gonna be a 14. I know. It's standard, or whatever you want to call it. English. Oh well. Alright, 9/16. I told you, I know it's a standard. Just was grabbing what was readily available. This is gonna go everywhere. Now the trick with this is to make sure it goes everywhere. Now the trick with this is to keep pushing it in until you feel it bouncing off the last threads, and then whew, try to quick remove it. Oh, heard that? That's it bouncing off. Ta-da! And it didn't go everywhere. See? See? Professional. It's pretty dark, but still doesn't smell burnt. Very burnt. Definitely time though. So most of the oil is drained. Pulled the filter down. While I had the filter down, I thought I'd quick point something out. If you have one of these third gen F body cars, the twin port injection 305 and 350s, a good portion of them came with this factory oil cooler. Something to keep an eye out for when you're changing your oil is, you see this fitting right here? That fitting not only holds the oil cooler up to the engine, it also is where your filter screws on. Now, when you're pulling your oil filter off, it can loosen that fitting a little bit. When that fitting loosens enough, you'll start to get an oil leak out the top of here. So what I like to do is, when I have this down, I just give it a quick check with either a socket or a monkey wrench of some sort. So I'm going to quick do that now. Okay, so we are refilling a L98 350 small box Chevy. Takes 4.5 quarts. So that means our treatment plan with the hot shots is about 7 ounces of that. Now, I was going to completely abide by this treatment plan. I think I'm going to do half of it. Not that I need to. Drink up. And done. All right, now that she is full, we can start it back up, verify there are no more leaks. I'm gonna take a close look at that at the oil cooler lines, see if I can figure out where that is starting to drip from. I'm hoping it's one of the rubber hoses going to or up and out of it, at least the circuit. So there's 2 hard metal lines that go from about directly straight down from here over to that housing that I showed you underneath the car. There's some surface rust on both of them right down over here. So I'm hoping they're not pinholed there. What I'm hoping is that the 2 rubber lines that come up and out of there, off those lines, are what is leaking. I believe they might even be original, so it wouldn't be a surprise. And they're a very simple fix if it's just those rubber lines. If it's the metal lines, the whole engine has to come out in order to get to them, which sucks. Or at least has to be lifted. And if we were doing that whole thing, we may as well throw a new oil pan gasket in as well, because that has some light seepage. All in all, it would be a massive pain, and I doubt the car would make the first event if that had to happen. So we're hoping for the best. All right, so we're gonna crack the door again, fire this back up, keep an eye out for let the oil pressure build. And while it's idling, circulating, getting some temperature in it, I'm going to try to inspect the coolant leak. Here we go. Well, bam. All right. Good oil pressure. Let's go check out the possible leak. So what I'm looking at here, these two lines, when I was rolling under here earlier, they were damp. And you can kind of see the surface rust on them, but I suspect, at the moment, I could be very wrong, the rubber hoses up there are what was dribbling, because right now, with it running and coolant flowing through them, there is no discernible wetness at the moment. I did see, kind of, oh, hang on. That's slightly damp, so it may have dribbled from there over the winter, or up there. Could have dribbled from up there too. Both are possible causes. It was wet last year too, and then it never leaked all year, so I almost wonder if it's just a slow dribble thing. Because if they were truly pinholed, they should be leaking right now. So hopefully that's a good sign, but we'll keep an eye out on it. Okay, so it's about a week later now. I had other obligations that night that you last saw me. I let this sit for the week. That way, if it was a slow dribble out the coolant that we were trying to look for there, I could kind of see where it would dribble from after a heat cycle. Get a fresher trail than it sitting all winter. So I took a look underneath it. The oil cooler hard lines, the metal ones that we were looking at, those were dry. That's good news. It did appear that those rubber lines that I was mentioning did have a little bit of a trail down them. So we'll just have to pop those off at some point, probably when we're doing the coolant flush, and run to the auto parts store, get a fresh piece of line. Easy days. Both of those aren't like a preformed line, so good. A couple parts showed up. Got my upper and lower radiator hoses. These didn't pee after this heat cycle, so that's interesting. They were peeing very, very lightly end of last year, but I guess we have them. We'll throw a fresh one on. These are starting to get pretty hard. They're original, so the fact that they lasted 35, 36 years, pretty cool, especially given we're racing it and it's getting heat soaked pretty decent. So today, I was kind of thinking about, okay, do I attack the coolant? Probably a most feasible one day of wrenching thing for today is we're going to get into the upgrades. Hooray! So I'm going to pop the wheels off. That way I get a better angle on the sway bar links to pop the old front sway bar off. We'll pop the new sway bar on, and it comes with new bushings that are matched to that diameter. And I'll go through a little bit more of what the sway bar we went with is, why we're doing it, etc. Along with the wheels. Get to see some fresh new wheels. They're pretty shiny. So let's get after that. I am going to commit a cardinal sin and use a chrome socket on the impact. But ask me if I care. I don't. Alright, got our key on the keyed lug nut. Attack! yeah, brake dust. How are the pads? Pads look good. Good. Don't have to spend money on those. Ah, much better access to the sway bar link. All right. Pop the other side off. While I had the wheel off and before I made it any farther, I thought I'd quick run over why I really feel we need a different brake setup on this, a better brake setup, a bigger brake setup, vented maybe. So these are the factory 10.5-inch brake rotors. The calipers are the same as you'd find on like an S10, a Regal, a Monte Carlo, etc. These, as far as I know, are the original rotors. When I originally put this car together, we just ground them, knock all the rust off of them and stuff. And that was that. I mean, they've held up great. They've had plenty of clamping power, but due to the small diameter, they've been getting a lot of heat. Thanks to the Patent.4, we've been able to avoid having brake fade. However, last year at the track sprint at Grattan, the brake rotor temperature got up to 580 something degrees, and these hairline cracks started to show. That is from them getting so much heat set into them. In fact, you can kind of see some of the coloration across the rotor. So, if we're putting more grip into the car, that's going to really, these are going to have to do more of a job, because if you have more grip, that means that these are going to have to put in more work. These were holding up fine for the street tires because the tires would lock up before you reach the limit of this. However, if we have more grip, are we going to run out of clamping force before we lock them up? I don't think so. However, due to them having to do more work to slow the car down, they are going to get more heat. And we're already seeing with the street tires, they're not going to hold up very long getting that much heat in them. Thankfully, we only do 1 to 2 track sprints a year, so maybe these are fine. If we do like a hot lap, a cool down lap, a hot lap, a cool down lap, but then you're wasting runs just on doing cool down laps. Brake ducts maybe? I don't know. I don't have a solution for it yet. So let's get on knocking this out. Okay, dokie. We got one side out. Now we just gotta pick this side out. And then do the 4 bolts in the middle, which hold this sway bar up, or here, this sway bar up, and the Wunderbar. And hopefully when we take those bolts loose, we don't get beamed in the fuzz by the Wunderbar. And that is tighter. I need to flip this over. There we go. I'll tell you what, this is coming out a lot easier than it went in. And prepare for twink. All right. Okay. Assemble this as it comes out. Now we don't lose anything. Just like so. All right. Time for bolts. You know, somewhere else in town, there is a really nice creeper that has little pockets along the sides of it so that you don't lose your bolts or your sockets while you're trying to work. It's not here. So we're just going to lose everything. Okay, the key to this is to take it down without eating it. And I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but we'll find out. Carefully, I suppose. $15. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I will remove 2 of the bolts fully first, and then slowly back the other 2 down. That way this thing doesn't hit me in the fuzz. Stand by for that. Okay. So I have this teetering between these 2, so I'm going to, and they're loose, but I'm going to try to hold this up while backing a nut off, or sorry, backing a bolt off one at a time. Again, purely so I don't accidentally eat this thing. I'd rather not take a sway bar to the teeth today. My wife kind of likes how my smile looks right now, so I'd rather not change that. One down. Two down. Now gently down. Ta-da! This is the Wunderbar of factory GM persuasion. So we can set that back over here because we will be reusing that. Now I'm going to pull this out, and we'll take a look at the new one, and I'll kind of go over why am I upgrading this. All right, so let's get to that. All right, so here is our factory 36mm front sway bar. Came on GTA WS6 cars. It came on Z28 1LEs, that sort of thing, before C1LEs. We are upgrading to a 35mm. I think they actually rate it in inches, so whatever the inches equivalent of that is. It's QA1 front sway bar. Why are we doing this? So even on the 330 treadwear tires, under heavy braking and sharp turn-in, so this would be like a tight 90-degree corner after some straightaway, or yeah, it'd be like a tight 90 after some speed, heavy under braking. The car would actually pick up the inside rear tire. It would body roll that much, and it would dive and body roll that much. So to try to prevent that, so with our stickier tires, it's only going to make that issue worse. And your car is going to stop and steer a lot better if all 4 wheels are on the ground. Unless you're in a Golf. Front-wheel drive stuff. Front-wheel drive stuff, that's fine, but with rear-wheel drive, we don't want a powered wheel, to be up in the air at any point, unless we're jumping. So this is going to be done in an attempt to remedy that and avoid it with the stickier tires. It's a pretty simple installation. They give you all your new sway bar end links with nice energy suspension bushings. Comes with some spacer plates. So when you're bolting this up, so here you have, a bushing, right? So you'll put your bushings on. You'll put the Wonder Bar up first, then these spacers to go in between the bushing and the Wonder Bar. And I believe Yes, that is because these have a little locator thing. The subframe of the car actually does have that same locator, but I guess Energy or QA1 prefers they have their own plate. And we will abide by that because that's what the instructions say. So I'm going to unsleeve this. I'm going to grease the bar, get the bushings around it, and then we will go for install. So even though this is a 35 versus a 36, it is a stiffer bar. It has, I believe, a thicker wall thickness to the tubing. And also, okay, gimbal died. So as I was saying, you may be wondering, okay, well, you're doing a front, why don't you do the rear while you're at it? One key reason, if I just do one bar, I can still run street. If I do a front and a rear, I can no longer run street class. So we are going to start by popping the straps off these things and lubing them. Oh look, my light popped on. Whoa. And make sure you use ample grease. Otherwise this thing is going to squeak like crazy every time you hit an undulation in your road. It's pretty thick stuff. So, and they give you 2 tubes of it, so feel free to use plenty. Tacky. Alright, I'm going to get these lubed up and popped on, and then I'll get back to you when this menagerie is ready to be jabbed in. Alright, we're on to the fun part. Fun being a very loose term. We gotta try to line all of this stuff up as it goes up. And as if it wasn't already a bit tricky, now we have those spacers provided by QA1 that we have to try to stack in here with it. So this might be a bit of a dance. It will be a dance. It's not even going to be a bit of one. Okay. Carefully. Where am I going here? Right, okay. So what we're going to try to do, what worked good for me when I did the front bushings last year, is I got my Wunderbar and I balled that up. Oh, tangled. And okay. Then I need my spacer. So we're gonna do this one, try to do this somewhat. Oh, this is gonna be a trick, ain't it? Okay, I have a plan. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw a bolt in one side. I got the bolts laid out here for me already. To hold the Wonder Bar and our new spacer up. And that way that's not trying to fall on me. And then we'll try to go for the full sandwich on the other side and get one bolt in, and then we'll get this other bolt up. Okay, that's started. At least takes some of the pressure off of me. For trying to hold up and line up this whole menagerie, because it's going to be a dance. It's going to be, because these bushings have to go on a certain way. Okay, see? So now this is being kind of sort of suspended in such a way that I can kind of gently work things around. See, I can still slide it back and forth, but it's not falling in my face. That's a win. All right. Maybe, you know what'll make this a bit easier for me is if I do this. Get my bolt. Now I go up. Try to find center here. Oh, I'm about right there. Try to get that started. See? And I'll get this to the point where it's sort of suspended. Like so. Now I can run this bolt I started out over here and go for the full sandwich over there. And then we'll have to try to work this side to side a bit, make sure she's center. Make sure this is in the right spot. And go from there. Now we gotta find that bolt that ran away from us. Here it is. All right, we're gonna get this cinched down and, well, first centered, then I'm gonna cinch this down, then we'll start on the end links. So before I completely cinch the bar down, I'm actually gonna stab in these, but I'm not gonna put them in tight, the sway bar links, just so I can flip this up and down as I need to get this together. And then I will tighten the clamps down, and then I'll tighten these down, and then this will be complete. Excellent. Okay, so the front sway bar is fully bolted in, it's all tightened down. So now we're gonna get to the wheels. The new wheels, new to me wheels. Anyway, so right here is the factory original 16-inch wheels. They're beautiful, I love the style, hence why I went with these. These are a 17-inch reproduction or recreation of the factory wheel. So why go to a 17? Tire options, that's the biggest thing. The General G-Max that I was running on the original tires is a 330 tread wear. There is an abundance of 200 tread wears available for this 17 by 9, I believe, inch wheel. What's on it right now, it's what came on these wheels when I bought them off Facebook Marketplace. They're a 220 treadwear Michelin Pilot Sport PS2, 220 treadwear. Much stickier than the originals. So that is why we were going with those. They're not just 17 inches, so they're a little taller. They are also just a hair wider, which is okay per class rules if I read the class rules correctly. So let's get to bolting these bad boys up. So before I roll the wheel in here, look at that. Very nice. Hopefully it does us good. We'll see. If we have to go back to the old one, we can, not a problem. In terms of the dive problem, Coney's here is going to be the biggest change if the budget ever allows. But for now, the stocker AC Delcos, going to go with those. All right, rolling it in. Ta-da! Oh, these wheels do require and they come with it, a very, very small spacer. Reason for that is that they can clear the bottom of your tie rod there. It's the same thing as if you put the factory wheels, they're offset just a little bit different front to rear. If you put a rear on the front, they rub that. That's why. You need this in order to clear that. All right. Viola. All right, now we just gotta spin some lug nuts on. We're good to go. I mean, yeah. It'll look probably a little better in the sun too, yet. I do like how they're more shiny because they're newer. Though I do have to say, I think I like the darker bronze color of the factory wheels. But these will do just fine for what we're using them for. We're using them basically just as a race wheel. So beggars can't be choosers. Not bad at all. Shiny, shiny. So we got some pretty good progress done today. Between everything that we covered so far, we did the oil change, we got the new sway bar mounted and tightened down, we got the new wheels and tires fitted. There's quite a few more small things to go. We did identify that coolant leak, so I'll just have to go get new hoses for that, and we'll replace those and the upper and lower radiator hose when we flush the coolant, and then fix the transmission leak. We're also going to flush the transmission while we're at it because it gets abused pretty heavily. But I think I'm going to leave it off there. Hope to see you come back for when I attack the rest of that stuff, and I guess I will see you all later.